Hey everyone, I'm going to show you some examples of things that you could sell for $100 or more on eBay. I'm going to show you that through 10 examples of items that I sold in that price range on eBay in the month of November 2021. I'm going to give you some good tips along the way, with one really big tip at the end that could really help you out if you ever get the type of item I'm going to show them. But let's start off with sharing my screen, and we'll go to a Mrs. Primetime item. Mrs. Primetime picked up this vintage wooden thread holder with 60 spools at an estate sale for just $5. And she wound up flipping this for $125. This stuff is out there, folks, and a lot of people will pass up vintage sewing items because they just don't think that it's that valuable. They think, who would want this stuff? But there's a lot of people who do. Now, one of the things you really want to pay attention to when you're looking at these vintage spools is you see these wooden ends to them. That is like gold. That's how you have to look at that, because there's a lot of people that love to get those kind of thread spools. And if you've got the holder as well, and make sure you take a picture of what it looks like without the spools on it too, that really could help. You could see here, these are all pictures that Mrs. Primetime took. So she uh, angled it differently, and she also showed it from all sorts of different perspectives with measuring tape in there, which is something I highly suggest doing. This was actually fairly light. It only cost about $10 to ship it. So be on the lookout for these things. They're out there, and you can make some really nice money with it. Now, this is something you may remember from the band live estate sale haul that I did. And this is a Peels Brothers figural bank from 1976. We've got Bert and Harry Peel here. And this is a great example of promotional barware. I absolutely love this piece. This was something that was sitting up by the checkout area by the estate sale dealers. And there was a price tag of $20 on it, which I had no problem paying, because I knew that this was going to be something that would flip for a good price. Appeals Brothers is a great beer brand, hails from New York, which is, I'm in New York, which is one of the reasons that we found this around here. You can see it has a nice little slogan on the bottom. There's the slot right there for putting in the coin. And, just like Mrs. Primetime's item, you could see here tilting it. We love tilting things at this 45-degree angle, a 30 to 45 degrees. It really helps bring a different perspective to it. Like you could see there, you could really see how he's pointing and interacting with the, with his fellow friend over there. And it's a different look than looking at it from that angle. And same with here. So these are kind of like little tips that help sell these types of items. But then, we also try to get a close up of the saying so people could see that. Pictures could really help with these more expensive types of items. So, and also you want to show the bottom. So the bottom here, there's not a stopper per se. I mean, technically it's a stopper, but you'd actually have to twist that cardboard part out of there, and that's how you get the coin out. So another $125 sale for something we picked up for $20. All right. So this is something that I found for, believe it or not, 30 cents, and wound up being a $140 flip. So you look at something like this, right? And you might say, well, what the heck? Why did this sell for $140? And it's real important, because I'm going to go back to the video where I actually sourced this from. If you look right here, this is the video that was called They Walked Right By It. And you could see here why people would walk by it, right? Look at that. It looks so boring from the outside, right? You flip it around and, that might bring your attention in a little bit. But the really key thing about this is the slip cover. I always tell you to look into slip cover books. There's so many of them that are really valuable. They generally put them inside a slip cover to protect them, because there's, something really extra and special about the book. Now, these books have sold for really, really high amounts of money. That's an international sale right there. But for a 30-cent investment, I was very happy to get $140 out of it. So you can see here, often when you take them outside of the cover, you'll see that there's a nice design on the front often, which is also something appealing. And, again, make sure that you're highlighting the inner elements. If there's colored photos inside, you definitely want to make sure that you're taking a picture of that and you're showing that to your prospective buyers. So anything, any kind of slipcover books, make sure you check out my video on slipcover books. I will try to remember to link that up top for you if you haven't seen that. All right, now this is just amazing. I mean, all shout outs and credit to Mrs. Primetime who sourced this Pottery Barn collection, and this is just part of it. This is a sale that she made this month. $170 for this reindeer design. It's a set of 8 dishes, as you could see here. And she did not just sell this. I mean, she sold many other things as part of this reindeer Pottery Barn lot. So, two things, and I'm going to show you some other examples in a moment. But if you see old Pottery Barn stuff, retired Pottery Barn stuff, definitely look into picking it up. Anything with this reindeer design, because if you look here, she sold this is just absolutely amazing. She sold this butter dish. Now, I'm showing you a prior sale from a prior video, but just to give you an example of how well this stuff can sell, this even had a crack in it, a fully disclosed crack. We got positive feedback on it and everything. $210. Probably would have sold for $300 without the crack. Mrs. Primetime sourced all this stuff on Facebook Marketplace from someone who is moving all the Pottery Barn stuff. Here's another example. $117 she sold this for. It's a different set. This is dessert plates. Everything she sourced for $90. So, I mean, it's amazing. The first thing she sold was the butter dish. So everything, I mean, that was profit, just that. So everything else after that has been pure profit. This set of reindeer mugs, $86. And there's more. I mean, she still has a few things left in the store, but in her eBay store. But I mean, really, really did well in this stuff. So definitely be on the lookout and don't be afraid to pay up. Listen, not everything's going to be $2, $3, $5. If you could pay $90 to get all of this type of stuff, it's well worth it. So always keep that in mind. That's real important. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing. This is something that just blows my mind. I told this story recently, but I had purchased a lot of comic books it was a small collection that I bought. I spent $50 for 350 comic books. This is one of them that I pulled out. This is New Mutants number 87. This is one you definitely want to look for. Make sure you jot it down. This came from 1990. A lot of people associate the 1990s with worthless comic books, and there are a lot that are not worth much. But this is definitely one of the exceptions, in addition to New Mutants 98, which is the first appearance, a full appearance of Deadpool in it. So this is amazing though, with Cable right on the cover there. I mean, it's really cool. Now, this one has a red cover. Okay, now this is another thing you want to pay attention to. The red cover means that this is a first printing. So what could often trip people up is if you come across this one, and this is the one you're more commonly going to find out in the wild. So you don't want to see this and think that, you made this big score and then pay up a lot of money for it, because the most you're going to get for this one, not graded, would be $35. And that would be top of the line, best possible scenario. Well, plus $9.25 shipping. So, maybe you get like $40 out of it or so, but that's it. It's not going to sell for as well as this one. Now, condition obviously matters. This was an excellent condition, but I literally had, pennies into this, given what I paid for the collection. It was a really great price overall, and I couldn't believe that this was in there. I discovered it when I was cleaning out my garage because it started to snow, and I had to move some boxes, and one of the boxes of comics that I bought was in there, so I took it inside. I started looking through it. I found this and New Mutants 98, which I have in my eBay store right now for $475. So, this was just something found through a Craigslist ad that I post looking for comic books and other types of collectibles. So if you're not taking ads out like that, I have videos out on how to do that, how to post those types of ads. Definitely look into it, because that's how a lot of these treasures could wind up coming your way. Next thing, speaking of comic books, and I want to give a shout out to Robbie from Vet Picks. Check him out on Instagram. Just look up Vet Picks Robbie. He actually purchased this from me during the Buy It Now-a-thon event, which I have another one coming up with Susan from Vintage Vagabond Vens. on December 16th. So definitely check it out. I'll have some other graded comic books there and maybe even some comic art. But this one I had originally picked up for $65 at an online auction. So you could see there's all sorts of different places where I'm sourcing all these different types of treasures. It's not just from one place. So you have to diversify not only what you sell, but where you're sourcing from. There's a few things about this that jumped out at me and made me want to purchase it. Number one is that it's Joe Palooka. Now, if you have never heard of Joe Palooka, he's a famous character from back in the golden age of comics. You know, this is from 1949, and he was like a boxer type of character. And it says Joe Palooka right on the top left. You see Joe Palooka on the top left. You also see him here sitting on top of this red booth. You see it say Mount Palooka, and you actually see his impression on the actual mountain. So that's very important because you have a repetition of something that collectors would want to display. So you're repeating similar themes. People who collect and love Joe Palooka stuff, they're going to love a nice, bright comic book that has all these different verbal features and visual features of that character. And speaking of bright, I've talked about this many times. If you have red and yellow bright colors on the cover and it's an interesting comic book, that's another thing that's going to really help out because it really stands out and people love that brightness of the display. This was graded by CGC, and it happens to be the single highest grade that CGC has ever given for this comic book. Now, I bought it like that. I didn't send it out. I bought it like that, knew it. So that's why I paid up for it. I paid $65 for it. That includes the shipping and all that kind of stuff. So I wound up discounting it. I had it actually listed for 250 bucks in my eBay store, and my buy it nowathon I give some big discounts. So I took $75 off of it, offered it if anyone wanted it, and Robbie, who's a big comic collector, he picked this up. So again, thank you, Robbie. Congratulations. And I'm happy with the flip, and I know he's happy with the book. So, but be on the lookout for Joe Palooka. All right, now this is one you definitely want to be on the lookout for. And don't worry, we'll get into some non-comic stuff in a moment. But this is just something that if you ever come across these, I don't care if you just come across one of them. This is the hardcover version of the Crisis on Multiple Earths comic book. Now, first of all, that's just a title that you should know in general because it's a very popular storyline through DC. So if you ever see anything related to Crisis on Multiple Earths, definitely look into picking it up, especially if you could collect like an ongoing storyline about it. But this is the hardcover book. Let me show it to you from the side here. This is what it looks like. These are very hard to come across. Uh, I use the word rare on purpose. I know some people hate that word, but if it fits, I will use it. And in this case, these are very hard to come across, especially in a bundle like this. If you could just find one of them, you could do really good in terms of selling them. But if you have all these different volumes together, wow, $200 price. I actually got these for free. How did I get them for free? Well, it's another way of being creative. You remember the video that I did on the video game lot that I sourced? Well, there were some consoles in that video game lot that I got. The guy was just getting rid of. Not everything in that lot. Remember, that was the one where I talked about all the fake stuff. There were some fake accessories and things. Well, the consoles were legit, and I have a comic book guy that I deal with he just texted me out of blue. He's like, "Hey, I really need some video game consoles." And I said, "Okay, well, I happen to have some." He's like, "All right, well, we'll just do a trade." And this was one of the things that was included in the trade. I couldn't believe it. Look at this is the front, but I want to show you the backs of these, which are really nice. Let me see if I could show you the backs. Oh, do I have oh, here they are. Yeah, the backs. Look at this. The backs are amazing. I mean, they just reproduce the comic covers and they're so bright. And this is just something comic book collectors just love. They dig, and they can't find something like this. If they're out of print, not on the market anymore, they're going to pay up, and those sold pretty fast. $200, literally paid nothing for it. So again, just got to be creative with the sourcing. Doctor Who, my favorite television show of all time. Many of you are longtime fans of the channel know that. This is some comic art that I had purchased at an auction. I paid around they paid around $100 for this. So It wasn't bright and colorful. It had a little bit of coloring in it. I don't know if I could zoom into this. I probably can't. There's like a little bit of light shading, but if you don't know anything about Doctor Who, there's two doctors you should know that are generally regarded as the most famous. In the classic series, it's Tom Baker, the fourth Doctor, and in the newer revamp series, it's David Tennant. They're both very similar, kind of eccentric doctors. So if I find any Doctor Who comic art, I pay. I'll get it. I mean, because I just love it. I just figure even if I can't sell it, at least since I love it so much, it's something that I'll keep. So there's something like that out there for you that you really love and don't mind paying up for it, because then, if it doesn't sell, okay, you can keep it for yourself. That's how I kind of look at it. You got to kind of rationalize it like that. But this one wound up selling internationally for $237.50. It is signed by the artist. I can't enlarge it, make it any bigger, but it's nice panel art. Her name is Alina Casagrande. She has done some art for the actual comic book. Her signature is right there on the bottom, which I will zoom in on for the purposes of my listing so people could see that. So comic art, very, very important. And here's another one of these reindeer sets. This one sold for $300. These are the bowls. Mrs. Primetime just sold these as well. So she sold two different sets this month for over $100, and this was the other one. So this one's a recent sale, $300. And I got to give Mrs. Primetime a lot of credit, because what happened was somebody was making offers to her and she was willing to go to like 250, but the person just like, I think initially offered 200 and wouldn't go above 225. And it was really tempting for Mrs. Primetime to take to 225, but she actually said no. She goes, I know I could get $300 for these. She goes, I'm being nice selling it for 250. So all credit, fist bump to Mrs. PT. She a couple days later sold for $300, and she was so excited. She was just so pumped up. Now, by the way, if you haven't seen Mrs. Primetime and you're really curious what she looks like, I actually posted a picture of us together on my Instagram account. So that's at prime_time_treasure. Just go there, you'll see it. It's one of the recent photographs. So all right, now the last item that I'm going to show you has to do with art, and there's good old Skeletor. I'll show you why I'm showing that picture in a minute. This is something that I paid up for, but I wound up making a nice sale, nice profit on it. This is a $435 sale. What is it? It's Skeletor original animation art. It's a production cell though, so it's actually was something used in the TV show. Which again, something for me, it really appeals to me because I grew up coming home from school, couldn't wait 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He-Man was on, and I couldn't wait to watch the episodes. And of course, Skeletor is the ultimate meanie in the show. So having a front-facing Skeletor like this is, hard to find in an animation cell. So I didn't mind paying up for it, especially since it had the certificate of authenticity with it, with filmation on it. So that was really nice. And it's a hand signed one as well. So I got this at an online auction. I paid $210 for it. That includes all the, fees and all that kind of stuff, shipping it over and getting all that. But the big tip that I want to tell you about it that really helps you sell it, and it's why I showed you this in the very beginning. Let's go and look on the bottom. There's some really important information here. This is from the bottom of the production cell. And you got to know how to decode this stuff, because this could really help you with your listing. So you see there, it says MU, which stands for Masters of the Universe. That's a title, usually abbreviated. And it says 126. Now, that happens to be, what can you think that could be? That happens to be the actual episode 126. S6 would be season 6, and 246 would be some number that they used in terms of where in the sequence this came up into the show. But what you really want to use to help you is that MU126, because what you could then do is you could then go and do a search online. Like you could see here, there's He-Man and Masters of the Universe episodes, right? And you could just do a search, go down, you see all the little episodes are listed here, 8, and we're going to go all the way down to 126. So let me scroll down for you, and we will see that one is called, I have it highlighted here, Capture the Comet Keeper. Okay. So, and Skeletor kidnaps the Comet Keeper, right? So then what you could do is you go over to YouTube and they have the actual He-Man episode. So you just search for it. And when you go over and search for it, all you have to do is then just go look and find the actual scene and then just screenshot it. Not screenshot it, screenshot it, screenshot it and put it into your listing. Cause now look at that. You could actually show your buyer, hey, look, this is the actual unique cell that came from the show in this specific scene, and you have it. It'll look amazing in a frame. And that, folks, is what is going to help bring in that $435 is taking that little extra work, doing that little extra decoding. And that's how you could, make these multi-$100 flips. So I hope this video was insightful and was helpful to you. If so, please make sure you hit the like button. Please make sure you subscribe and consider supporting the channel through membership. I would love to have you on board. And with that, I will see you at the next one, everyone. Take care.